Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Siti Ainati Pandapatan, and I'm here to present to you the discussion about the nonverbal communication in Asian context. Nonverbal communication refers to communication that does not make use of language to communicate. According to Guan 2004, nonverbal communication is a process in which communicators use the natural features of their bodies to deliver information and express specific meaning instinctively to other communicator. So with that, Albert Mehrabian, also a pioneer researcher of body language in the 1950s, found that the total impact of a message is about 7% verbal and 38% vocal, including tone of voice, inflection, and other sounds, and 55% of non-verbal. So as you can see, there's more non-verbal communication in terms of communicating to others. So a lot of nonverbal cues may be present because of its significance and relevance to um, any conversations. And also, nonverbal communication is deeply rooted in culture. Culture values and norms make an influence on nonverbal communication and determine what kind of nonverbal behavior is appropriate. On the other hand, nonverbal communication is a mirror reflecting different cultures. And in this case, on my report, I'll be discussing or presenting to you the nonverbal communication in the Asian context. So it is expected that there are countries or Asian countries that I'll be mentioning, including the Japan, China, Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and the different parts of Asia. Okay, so to proceed, there are functions of nonverbal communication. So let's discuss this quickly, since this is not part of the outline. No? So basically, um, the functions of nonverbal communication includes this 5. No? First is it is used to repeat the verbal message. For example, to point in a direction while stating the directions. The second one is it is often used to accent a verbal message. For example, a verbal tone indicates the actual meaning of the specific words. The third one is it often complements the verbal message but also may contradict. So, for example, a nod reinforces a positive message among Americans, no? So, kapag nananad tayo, and a wink may contradict a stated positive message. So, this nonverbal communication may sound or may look like very vague for others. And then the third one is it regulates interactions. So nonverbal cues convey when the other person should speak or not. And then the fifth one is it may substitute for the verbal message, especially if it is blocked by noise or interruption. So if you're saying something and because of that nonverbal communication or your body language maybe or your hand signal, it may help to substitute the verbal message that you're trying to convey. So another example are the gestures, no, finger to lips to indicate a need for quiet, no, like this. So instead of saying please be quiet, you may signal, no, using your finger, and then you're going to put it in your mouth to put it closely to your mouth, no. And in facial expressions, no, instead of saying yes, you can nod like this. So that indicates a yes. No? So note that the implications of the proverb action speaks louder than words. In essence, this underscores the importance of nonverbal communication. So nonverbal communication is especially significant in intercultural situations, and probably nonverbal differences account for typical difficulties in communicating. Okay, to proceed, um, there are different types of nonverbal communication, and one of this is the kinesics. When you say kinesics, it pertains to the study of the body movements, facial expressions, and gestures. So kinesics encompasses how body language conveys emotions, attitudes, and intentions. Facial expressions, the hand gestures, posture, and body movements are all examples of kinesics. So these nonverbal cues often add depth and clarity to verbal communication, helping to convey underlying emotions and messages. So here are the gestures in Asian context or in some Asian countries. So the first one is, let's discuss the greetings gestures because there are different kinds of gestures. So let's focus on the greetings. The first one is the handshaking under the greetings gestures. Now in China, the Western custom of shaking hands is the customary form of greeting, but often nod of the head or slight bow is sufficient. So hindi lang handshaking, but also it includes the bowing. No? So the next one is in among the Filipinos. No, in Philippines, handshaking is the common custom with both men and women shaking hands in a friendly and informal fashion. Filipinos may greet one another with the eyebrow flash, which is merely a quick lifting of the eyebrows. So here it is, no, yung Filipinos, and undeniably, Filipinos really use those eyebrows flash. No? In some ASEAN cultures also, they prefer to bow like Vietnamese and Cambodians, and some prefer to use their palm, no? To place their palms together at chest level or in front of the face like Thais and Laotians or Laotians. In India, they have this namaste or hands pressed together at chest level, which is a very common greeting for them. No? Okay, so the next one, uh, the Y is used also in Thailand and in other Asian countries, consisting of a bow with the palms pressed together. No, ayan yung sa Y. So as you can see in this screen, this is how Thai used or greet the other persons, no? Through bowing, and then they press their palms together. Okay, so another form of bowing comes from Japan. No? So in Japan, the graceful act of bowing is the traditional greeting. It is common to bow when greeting someone, with the nature of the bow on how deep and how long being determined by the nature of the occasion and social connection of the persons involved. However, they have also adopted the Western custom of shaking hands with a light grip and perhaps with eye averted. So meanwhile, to show respect for their customs, it would flatter them to offer a slight bow when being introduced. Okay, another one is avoiding direct contact or direct eye contact. No? So in some Asian countries, when walking in public places, direct eye contact and staring isn't common in the larger cities, especially in those areas accustomed to foreign visitors. No? In Japan, it is considered rude to stare. Prolonged direct eye contact is considered impolite or even intimidating, which is also same in the Philippines. You cannot stare at someone um, without any reasons. No, it is really impolite. Okay, another one is giving business cards. In Japan, the seemingly simple act of exchanging business cards is more complex because the business card represents not only one's identity but one's station in life. So yours should be printed in your own language and in Japanese. While in China, business cards are often exchanged and yours should be printed in your own language and in Chinese also. So it is more respectful to present your card or a gift or any other article, no, using both hands, no. So when you give your business cards, make sure to give it using your both hands. So that's in China. Okay, so we have also some touching gestures. So Asian people are not a touch-oriented society, so avoid open displays of affection, touching, or any prolonged form of body contact because Asian people are conservative. Some of them are very conservative. So cues are generally respected. Yung mga linya-linya, it is only in crowded train and subway stations where the huge volume of people causes touching and pushing. So, however, I have watched one of the vloggers, no, foreign vlogger, when he went to the Philippines, he observed, according to him, he observed that Filipinos love long queues, no, so but in Japan specifically, no, he's really specified that in Japan it is the opposite in the Philippines. Also, touching the head is inappropriate, no. However, in Islamic point of view, when you touch the head of someone, it may means that that person is an orphan, no. And accordingly, you can gain a lot of rewards when you touch the head of an orphan. Okay. Next one, avoid public display of affection. So Asian people avoid public display of affection, unlike the Americans. No, Americans are very vulgar when it comes to their public display of affection. Another one is the beckoning gestures. No, to beckon someone, the palm faces downward and the fingers are moved in a scratching motion. So, in Asian countries, to beckon someone, the palm faces downward and the fingers are moved in a scratching motion. Yan dapat yung gawin mo, no? In the Philippines, instead of pointing to an object, Filipinos will shift their eyes toward it or purse they use the lips and point with the mouth, which is very unique to us, no? Um, this maze, it is really unique because when you look at the other countries, walang ganon. No? They will not use their mouth or lips to point at something. Definitely, they will use their index fingers. Okay, next is the facial expressions. Facial expressions communicate an endless stream of emotions, and we make judgments about what others are feeling by assessing their faces. And it is often claimed that facial expressions, called affects displays, tend to be universal. So when you smile, that means you're happy, no? So the idea being that expressing basic emotions is an elemental, instinctive behavior common to all humans. Again, when feeling happy, we will smile. And all over the world, while the emotions of enjoyment, sadness, fear, anger, and surprise are supposed to be expressed in similar ways, the frequency and the context of using these facial expressions varies from culture to culture. So let's take an example, no, the Asian culture. People in this culture culture show smile to the others as much as possible. Not only their happiness, but also their regret and other feelings. Of- For example, in China, smile can cause the Western's aversion in certain occasions. When the latter one feels embarrassed after making a mistake, Chinese will give out a laughter. It makes the Western think that the Chinese is laughing at them and they feel more humiliated. But actually, Chinese smile is such in such occasion means it doesn't matter and shows their sense of humor to avoid awkward moments rather than laughing at others nor making fun at others mistakes. So therefore, in a negotiation, people who do not get a knowledge of this information can get angry and break business cooperation or in any occasion, no? Um, Another example is among the Japanese, smiling often can cover a gamut of emotions, no? Like happiness, anger, confusion, apologies, or sadness. In Japan, it is culturally appropriate to hide unhappiness by smiling or embarrassment by laughing. Um, Meanwhile, in South Korea, they practice minimal smiling and nodding to show understanding. In India, nodding can mean acknowledgement more than agreement. And the famous head wobble like this can have many different meanings. No? That's in India. Okay, so another one is the eye contact. In the countries such as China, Japan, Philippines, and Indonesia, people prefer to avoid long time straight eye contact as much as possible. They think straight eye contact is impolite and implying offense. It is considered rude to stare, and prolonged direct eye contact is considered impolite and even intimidating. In communication among Japanese, their eyes can focus on others' neck without looking into eyes and face. As for them, eye-to-eye contact is a disrespectful behavior. While in China, both sides can avoid eye contact constantly in order to show modesty and respect. Sometimes, dropped eyes are a sign of deference to a superior. Okay, the next one is the posture. Now, posture refers to transmitting messages through body movement, and when being involved in communication, people people's posture could tell such messages as social status, religious belief, desire and intention, and so on. The popularity of one posture over on another and the emotion conveyed by a given posture seem to be largely determined by culture. So it depends on the culture. Okay, during a communication, we may unconsciously put our souls to others while sticking one leg over the other. It is regarded as a disrespect in Thailand and in other countries, whereas in United States, it is simply a way to show feeling relaxed. No? Ganon ka-iba yung culture na meron yung Asian at saka yung mga Americans. In Japan also, people value the ability to sit silently, which shows the mental and spiritual balance. And there is an old saying in China, no, which is also related sa Japan. Um, Accordingly, stand straight like pine, sit like a clock. So this makes you feel confident and full of energy. So let's go back again in Japan, no? So in Japan, they try to maintain a balanced posture, stand or sit erectly or squarely. Um, if you're in Japan, do not slouch or put your feet on desks or chairs. And when seated, have both feet squarely on the ground with arms in the lap or on the arm rests. So crossing the legs at the knee or ankles is the preferred form rather than with one ankle over the other knee. So sitting with your legs crossed, showing the soles of the feet, may also cause offense to someone who originates from Thailand, Indonesia, and Cambodia. So it is very common, no, to not stick one leg over the other. Okay, so another one is the shrugging of shoulders. No? Shrugging shoulders can be interpreted that they are innocent and having no secret to conceal. But in China, it can be expressed as indifference and ignorance. It is quite unacceptable among the Chinese in communication. So, um, please do not shrug your shoulders, no, when you are in China. Okay, we have here the para language. Okay, in Asian countries, silence is perfectly acceptable and customary. Silence or listening is a sign of politeness and of contemplation. And during conversations um, in Asia, in Asian countries, be especially careful about interrupting. No, in Korea, specifically, periods of silence are common and accepted even during dinners. And in Japan, silence is valued and often used to convey respect, seriousness, or considerations. Okay, the next one is the proxemics. It focuses on the use of space as a nonverbal communication element, and it examines how people use and interpret personal space, territorial boundaries, and physical distance in different social contexts. Um, Proxemics also includes concepts such as intimate space. It is reserved for close relationships, personal space, comfortable distance for acquaintances, no, yung mga personal space, and then the public space, which is used in formal or public settings. Okay, in Asian cultures, people typically stand further away when having conversations, closer to 4 or 5 feet. It is also even less accepted to enter into someone's physical space, and touching someone is completely disrespectful. So that's how Asian people value the space, no? Especially this personal space. What more, the intimate space. Another one is the public displays of affection are also frowned upon and seen as disrespectful even between couples that are in a relationship. So that is a no-no, not really a no-no, but iniiwasan siya sa mga Asian countries. Okay, so let's proceed on the multimodal communications and cultural variations. When you say multimodal communication, it refers to the understanding of all forms of signs or the semiotic on the interactions that occur in a communication that can include voice, body, gestures, body language, text, images, video, and so forth. No? Kress and Van Leeuwen, 1996, said that multimodal is a person's way when communicating by using a variety of semiotic modes or media. And to give you an example, let us take a look on the study of CO 2021. No? I gathered this information from the study of CO 2021. His study examines how multimodal resources are incorporated into constructed dialogue in subtle Asian traits. A closed Facebook group for Asian young adults living in Anglophone countries. No? So meron talaga siyang study na gibasean ko. So, as you can see here, there is a meme post. This is taken from a Facebook group. So the meme in the screen is called the heart slicing meme. So, and is used to contrast positive reception of the heart and negative responses or the slicing the heart to an expression of affection. No? So the meme was originally posted on the Facebook page for SGAG, no, a Singaporean meme sharing website, and shared to subtle Asian traits by the poster. By the poster, ang poster natin ay si Emily. So as you can see here in the screen, si Emily, um, nilagay niya doon, nag-post siya, sabi niya, Asian Dad and Emotional Constipation, a story, edit, well, this blew up. Full credits to the SGAG team. So yan, a true Singaporean story. So as you can see, sa first na frame, merong I love you, Dad, that which is coming from an American dad, no? And then an American child say, I love you too. While in Singapore, or maybe in Asian countries also, sabi niya, I love you pa. So, nag-send siya ng heart, but the father received it, responded, then slice yung heart. No? So, the example reproduces the meme as shown in the group. It begins with the captions, no? Meron talagang caption yung sinabi ko kanina. So, the version of the heart-slicing meme in this example highlights the contrast between a pair of parallel interactions between American and Singaporean fathers and their children. So, the characters' nationalities are marked with overlaid US or Singaporean flags, and the relationships between the characters are indicated through their speech, and both interactions are initiated by an I love you from the child figures represented visually in the meme with their gestures of throwing hearts toward their fathers. No? So yung sinabi ko kanina, nag-I love you too yung American, but in Singapore, para sa Singaporean father, lang yung nilagay niya. Okay. So, this means that the visual metaphor of the broken heart juxtaposed with the full heart sent to the Singaporean father by his child highlights the Singaporean father's response to his child's expression of affection as an unwelcome one, which is very opposite naman talaga, no? In American, very welcoming yung pag I love you, but in Asia, Singaporean, parang unwelcome yung pag I love you ng anak. So, the meme only provides space for 4 short segments of speech, but the minimal verbal and visual elements of the meme combined vividly voiced the Singaporean father as a recognizable figure. So, the Singaporean father's utterance contrast with all the other characters' expressions of love, both in terms of its content and its brevity, which stands out visually. So the facial expression and gesture of the Singaporean father also set him apart from the other characters who are smiling with their arms outstretched to send and receive hearts. So in contrast, the Singaporean father has a straight line instead of a smile and one arm slashing down to break the heart sent to him by his child. So the Singaporean father's neutral facial expression mirrors his speech in its lack of emotional expression, and the broken heart in front of him further dramatizes his rejection of his child's affection. So the combination of these visual details with a short utterance draws the viewer's attention to the Singaporean father and brings him to life as an emotionally inexpressive father figure, which is very common among the Asian fathers. No? Maybe because Asian countries are high context, and the American country, the Americans are high context. No? Yun siya. Okay, the next topic is about the verbal communication, no, which is the next to the nonverbal communication. Verbal communication refers to communication that makes use of language in expressing ideas or emotions. Communicators utilize speech to express or communicate what they wish to say or communicate. Although spoken communication is frequently thought of when the phrase verbal communication is used, written communication is also a form of verbal communication. Okay, so let's discuss the language barrier and translation challenges in Asian countries. Okay, so let's discuss the language barriers faced by Asian immigrants in the United States. I consider the data from the Pew Research Center in 2021. So they conducted this study among the 49 focal groups with Asian immigrants to understand the challenges they faced, if any, after arriving in the country. So the focal groups consisted of 18 distinct Asian origins and were conducted in 17 Asian languages. No? Ito yung mga um, statistics nila, no? As seen in the screen. Okay, to proceed on the data, um, based on the findings, it highlights various language barriers faced by Asian immigrants in the United States. So here's an enumeration of these barriers. So number one, daily life challenges. So they face difficulty in navigating daily tasks like shopping, going to the doctor, or visiting government offices due to the limited English proficiency. Okay, another one is the interaction challenges. They experience frustration from people when struggling to speak in English, with instances of shopkeepers losing patience. No? And they also face challenges using public transportation, such as not knowing where bus stops are or how to ask for help in English. We have also medical communication barriers. So they face difficulty accurately describing ailments and discussing health conditions with doctors due to language barriers. So they lack interpreters during medical visits, making it challenging to communicate effectively. The fourth one is the government office visits. No, they have also difficulty understanding and completing paperwork at government offices when information is provided in English. No, so at some point they prefer to have an assistance from someone who speaks their native language during the procedures. And we have also the educational challenges, language barriers in educational settings, with some participants facing difficulties in understanding English, culture, and coursework. So they somehow feel fear and confusion at school, especially for those who arrived in the US during their teenage years. Another one, which is related to educational challenges, is the university studies. Language barriers affecting academic performance and social interactions in college or university settings um, is one of the challenges that they face. No, they're being challenged to fully understand English in academic and social contexts, including slang and pop culture references. Another one is the employment struggles, and based on the data or the findings, they have difficulty finding employment due to poor communication skills, impacting job interviews and phone screenings. The language barriers affecting professional success and advancement once employed. This is also a challenge for them. No? The next one is the industry-specific language challenges. Um, lang language challenges, yung language challenges na to includes, no, when changing industries, requiring relearning the terminology of a field or a new field. Um, it has a negative impact on professional success and customer acquisition in specific industries such as hairstyling and other work. No? The last one is the accent-related issues. So, meron din silang challenges on this. So, there is a discrimination and differential treatment at work based on accents, affecting phone interactions and overall workplace attitudes. So, that's it. Okay, so let's proceed on the direct and indirect communication styles. So many intercultural communication problems stem from the different ways that messages are composed, transmitted, and interpreted. Human beings depend on a variety of philosophical, social, psychological, and institutional standards or criteria of conduct to arrive at reasonable, appropriate, and meaningful modes of communication. So, Asia is very heterogeneous. Each Asian culture has its unique philosophical traditions, ethics, and morals for appropriate social behaviors and conduct. You know, even though they belong in the same group, like the Asian countries, still there are distinct characteristics na meron yung each country. Okay, so Confucianism is one of the most prevalent practices in Asian cultures. Although communication is unique with each Asian culture, systematic similarities in communication have been observed across the Asian culture, and that includes the indirectness, implicitness, politeness, and and being formal of the Asian people. No? So we have direct and indirect styles. When you say direct styles, they are those in which verbal messages reveal the speaker's true intentions, needs, wants, and desires. So the focus is on accomplishing a task. And the message is clear and to the point without hidden intentions or implied meanings. Indirect styles are those in which communication is often designed to hide or minimize the speaker's true intentions, needs, wants, and desires. A hidden meaning may be embedded into the message because harmony and saving face in Asian culture or Asian countries is more important than truth and confrontation. This indirect verbal behavior is often associated with Asian cultures, no? So, the Japanese version of yes, which is the hai, does not necessarily means yes in the sense of agreeing or accepting. It is also used often to equivocate, no? To indicate to the speaker that you are listening but not necessarily expressing an affirmation. Another example in the Chinese cultural context, indirect or implicit communication is most exercised in the expression of feelings and emotions in initial encounters, in public settings, when imposing on others, in situations where the other person's face or image needs to be protected, in self-enhancing situations, and when dealing with sensitive people and topics. No? Assertive verbal skills also in public speaking and debate are promoted and evaluated positively, not in um, Asian context, but in Western context or in Western societies, no? Such as the United States. Um, to highlight, no, in Asian societies, those who are perceived to have a sharp tongue are viewed more negatively and considered to cause trouble, disruptive, and self-centered, and to have less knowledge than those who are relatively reticent. No? That is one of the unique characteristics that we have compared to the Americans. No? Okay, let's proceed to the politeness and rapport building. Okay, so let's proceed to the politeness and rapport building. In Asian societies, maintaining good relations with others, being able to work in a team, and having a supportive social network project a positive self-image of a person as amicable, likable, and capable. The cultivation of such social relationships involves behaving with politeness and formality to others, including supporting their faith by abiding by the spoken and unspoken social rules and norms, using formal and appropriate forms of address, praising others, being friendly, patient, and respectful, knowing one's limit, ano pa ba? Expressing concern, showing care, warmth and gratitude, and displaying modesty and humility are all parang examples, no? Specific examples of politeness. But in general, an Asian communicator uses a great deal of sensitivity to protect the other party's positive image or face, no? In the communication process. So, individuals in Asian societies are educated to respect, no, established relational and social hierarchies, and to show an abundance of considerations to others. So, meaning to say, Asian countries or Asian people are very understanding. No? Okay, so let's proceed to the cultural variations in humor, silence, and taboo topics. Humor is one of the culture na meron sa Asian countries. Some countries there share the same culture, no, in terms of humor and the content of the humor. So, comedy is often, or humor is often deeply rooted in language. As such, the vast linguistic differences that pervade across the Asian continent make similarities to two countries' approach to humor especially rare. Okay, so let's proceed. In Chinese humor, jokes are often deeply embedded into the multi-level meanings of the Chinese writing system, which uses characters that change their meaning depending on the grammatical context. So, the Chinese language is the perfect place for clever puns and wordplay. For example, ito sa in the screen, meron tayo ditong Chinese character, which is definitely the translation into English, which is, there are two reasons why you are single. First is nobody is good enough for you. Second is you are not good enough for anybody. So it uses the language, no? They played with the language to make this kind of humor. Okay. So the next one, in the next picture, the Japan, no? Japanese humor frequently uses also puns through they're often referred to as old man jokes with a groan and a sigh. So the Japanese also love to tell long comical stories called rakugo, no, rakugo, that feature foolish characters. No? They, as shown in the screen, yun yung nakaupo sila, no? They have this parang segment or show, then they sit like this and they deliver a story, no? That's rakugo. That's part of their culture. Um, Among the Filipinos, we also have our own way of joking, no? Or our own spice of jokes. Marami. Sometimes, no? In Thailand, we have similarities also in Thailand. Uh, Thai and Filipinos, the people are easygoing, no? Tayong mga Thai at saka Filipinos. They're easygoing and enjoy a good laugh. That's why one of the depictions of this is the establishments of the yung tawag doon? The establishments of the bars, comedy bar, no? The comedy bar in Luzon, meron silang mga ganon. So it shows that we have a good humor or a good culture, no? In terms of a culture of humor. In terms, yeah. The next one is, yan. No. Balik tayo. Yeah, the silence. So, as discussed a while ago, we have already discussed the silence. Um, there are strong cultural reasons why Asian people are more comfortable with silence. So, as presented a while ago, no, yung meron different ways of expressing silence sa Korea, China, Japan, and even in other countries. So, um, why is it very strong? No, there are strong cultural reasons. No, bakit nga ba very silent or we're comfortable of being silent? It's because maybe because of the influence of Zen Buddhism. No, according to Zen Buddhism, enlightenment can be reached only through silence, and Buddhist teachings can only be understood with silent meditation and contemplation. And for those who come from a Buddhist culture, silence is a positive source, a force strongly associated with truth. That's it. According also is in Chinese context, no, according to the famous Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, silence is a source of great strength, no. So silence is often used to indicate agreement and receptiveness. So in Asian cultures, silence can often be a sign of respect. If an Asian person asks a question, it is considered polite for the listener to pause to consider the answer, even if they know the answer immediately. You know, that's how um, we value politeness. Um, in Japan naman, silence is revered, which is a deeply collectivist society with a strong group consciousness, allowing people to use a few words, no, in order to be understood. Yun yung sa Japan. So, one example also, no, interestingly, in Japan, silence can indicate the level of intimacy in a relationship. So the fewer words exchanged, the stronger the bond. And according to the concept of itai, a husband and wife are one entity. So in a society where public displays of emotion are discouraged, silence between spouses or even lovers shows that the two can understand each other without words. No? And then let's proceed to the last topic, the taboo. No? The term taboo is culture specific. It refers to the idea of prohibition or restriction on some idea or utterance or a behavior that is very um, sensitive. No? So virtually all the society acquires this kind of constraints. However, these customs may vary from cultures to cultures, but the belief is common to all cultures. The belief of protection, which is the basis of the existence of the term taboo. Some taboos are involuntarily based on the religious belief, some are based on the moral judgments, whereas others are based on the pretext of cultural norms. So the society in general objects on the idea of breaking of taboo. So taboo and culture are intertwined. So let's explore some of taboos of South Asian regions, no, specifically. Okay. First one is the menstrual period. So shame and embarrassment are the two adjectives which are associated with this term. No? In every house of South Asian countries, this biological process is shrouded in stigma and silence. Um, in South Asian cultures, women are often taken to be a gender which is deviated from normal, giving rise to the cultural taboo. The next one is the sex and sexuality. South Asian countries comprises of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal, and the Maldives. In all these countries, sex is seen as a stigma. It is not the act of lovemaking that is stigmatized, but the very word sex is registered as a taboo term. So the word sex is treated as an enormous understatement in the cultures of these countries, and countries particularly having a plethora of Muslim communities are taught not to masturbate. So Muslim mothers ardently teach their child, whether it's male or female, not to masturbate because, again, sex is a taboo in this society. So it is taken to be a taboo in their culture, and it is considered as sinful. No? Not only that, the sexual liberation of a person are sometimes are not taken into account or ignored. So, um, LGBT rights were denied, and today also this chapter is looked down upon, no? Hindi open yung mga Muslim countries about the LGBT, the existence of the LGBTQ+. No, the concept of also of capital patriarchy is somehow the result of sex being a taboo in the South Asian cultures. There happens to be a connection between the two also, no? Kung um, Okay, to continue, there is another topic of discussion when it comes to the discourse of taboo topic. Usually when we talk about the South Asian culture, the image of wrapping and draping comes over. Their dressing sense holds a degree of cultural heritage. As when we see the countries or parts of South Asia individually, we can see the conservativeness in their attire. And it's also evident in some places in Philippines, like just like in Mindanao. So as we can see in the Muslim or Islamic community, there is a particular dress code, whereas in the Hindu community, in India, the dress code is different but orthodox. Women are expected to be draped in clothes from top to toe. So the woman is demanded to behave or dress in a certain way, just like in the Philippines. The concept or the existence of Maria Clara in some literature um, is a depiction of how conservative women are in the Philippines. However, in the modern era, nawawala na siya. No? So whereas the male members of the family enjoys the independence of their dressing. If a woman is not dressed the way a society demands, it becomes unacceptable and hence a taboo in that particular culture. Okay, so the next one is the mental illness. Mental illness is often being regarded as a taboo in the South Asian societies, and it is very undeniable in the context of in the Philippines. No, it is can be seen as a sign. It is seen as a sign of weakness and a source of shame for the family. It has always been seen also as something that brings dishonor or disappointment to the family. So in conclusion, across the vast and diverse tapestry of Asian cultures, nonverbal communication plays a crucial role in shaping meaning, conveying respect, and navigating social interactions. Unlike spoken language, nonverbal cues transcend linguistic barriers, offering a window into the subtle nuances of cultural etiquette and unspoken emotions. However, it is essential to remember that generalizations, no, about such a vast and heterogeneous region can be misleading. So this is the importance of the knowledge or awareness of those forms of communication from Asian context, and especially also in other contexts. No? So what holds true in one culture might differ significantly in another. So by appreciating the intricacies of nonverbal communication in Asian cultures, we can foster deeper understanding, navigate cross-cultural interactions with greater sensitivity, and build more meaningful connections with people from these diverse and vibrant regions. Um, for verbal communication naman, it exhibits a fascinating array of shared characteristics and intricate regional variations, no, or cultural variations in Asian culture. Understanding these nuances is crucial for fostering effective cross-cultural interactions and appreciating the underlying values and social dynamics at play. More importantly, understanding the nuances of verbal communication in Asian cultures requires appreciating the delicate balance between the indirectness and context sensitivity. By acknowledging cultural variations, we can navigate um, cross-cultural interaction, as I have said a while ago. This cross-cultural interactions has greater sensitivity and effectiveness. No, um, again, so we can navigate cross-cultural interactions with greater sensitivity and effectiveness, and we can foster deeper understanding and mutual respect. So that ends my discussion on the nonverbal communication and verbal communication in Asian culture. So thank you for listening to this presentation.